Hey, this is Brooke, functional medicine dietitian specializing in fertility, and this is the Fertility Dietitian podcast, where I help you uncover the barriers that are preventing you from optimizing your fertility and teach you how to work with your body to finally take home a healthy baby. Each week, I will be diving into different topics on fertility and sharing my perspective on physiology, metabolic health, nutrition, and lifestyle approaches that have helped hundreds of couples get pregnant even after years of heartache. My goal is to empower you with the knowledge you need to take back control of your fertility. Happy listening.
Male fertility is still one of the biggest blind spots in fertility care. Male factor infertility contributes actually to roughly 40 to 50% of infertility cases. In other words, about half of couples struggling to conceive, the male partner is contributing to the fertility picture in some way. And yet I continue to see couples spend months or even years investigating the female partner while the male partner gets a semen analysis. Maybe. And if the semen analysis come back somewhere within the reference range, he is often told that everything looks fine. But thought, and it's a big bet, a semen analysis is not a comprehensive assessment of male fertility. And there's a lot that is wrong with the reference ranges as well. It does tell us some important information. It definitely does not tell us the whole story. It becomes even more important when a couple has experienced recurrent loss or potentially failed IUIs, failed IVF cycles. Maybe you're having poor fertilization or poor embryo development, or has experienced like a frustrating diagnosis of unexplained infertility, because sperm really contributes to 50% of the DNA required to create an embryo. So it's not only important for getting pregnant, it is important for that continued development of the embryo, so staying pregnant and a healthy pregnancy. We cannot talk about improving embryo quality while only talking about the egg. So today, I want to talk you through 6 things that I think deserve a closer look when we are evaluating male fertility. And more importantly, I want to show you what you can actually do with that information. So, quick disclaimer before we get into this episode is educational. It's not intended to diagnose or treat any medical condition. Testing and treatment should always be individualized by your healthcare team. So let's go ahead and get into it. A better look at the semen analysis. So first and foremost, we don't want to skip the basics. The semen analysis does matter. And we do want to see the parameters, but we want to make sure that we're getting the full look at all of the parameters. So the problem is that after the test, a couple may get a report and hear that everything's normal or fine, and that's the end of the conversation. But I want you to actually look at the numbers. We want to look at sperm concentration, total sperm count, motility, progressive motility, morphology, semen volume, and total motile sperm count. Okay. And that's minimum. One number alone does not determine whether someone is fertile or infertile. Semen parameters also fluctuate, which is one reason repeating an abnormal analysis can have value. But I want you to remember something else. A semen analysis tells us what the sperm looks like and how it behaves. It does not tell us whether the DNA inside the sperm is healthy, which brings me to the next recommendation: sperm DNA fragmentation. This is one of the biggest pieces I think is overlooked. I know it's overlooked. And especially in couples that have been experiencing recurrent loss, but definitely just in couples that are taking a longer time to get pregnant also. Sperm can look relatively normal on a conventional semen analysis while still carrying significant DNA damage. This is called sperm DNA fragmentation. And we now have stronger evidence connecting elevated sperm DNA fragmentation with both longer time to pregnancy as well as miscarriage. Okay. So we see that it really, really makes a big difference and should be tested much earlier in the journey. So if you've been told repeatedly that maybe you have had losses and you've been told repeatedly that they're probably an quality issue because of the female partner's age, push back. advocate for yourself. Egg quality matters, of course, but sperm quality matters big time too. And DNA fragmentation can be influenced by things like oxidative stress and smoking, environmental exposures, varicocele, illness and fever, paternal age, as well as other factors. So this is why I want couples to stop thinking of sperm testing as simply checking whether there are enough sperm swimming in the right direction. We need healthy DNA inside those sperm too. So what can you do? If you have experienced recurrent pregnancy loss or unexplained infertility, maybe poor embryo development in an IVF cycle, or potentially just repeated fertility treatment failure, talk with a reproductive urologist about whether sperm DNA testing can happen for you. You can also order this yourself through a company called Legacy, or Give Legacy. They have highly reliable testing also that you can actually do the full semen analysis with all of the count, motility, morphology markers, and DNA fragmentation. So you don't even have to go through a urologist. A urologist could definitely be helpful for assessing additional structural issues or concerns as well, though. And DNA fragmentation can be changed, and we typically use a functional approach for best outcomes here, but I've seen DNA fragmentation go all the way from 64% all the way down to optimal levels of below 20 within about a 5-month time frame, which is extremely significant. And they did go on to get pregnant shortly after that retest and have a healthy baby. So it's absolutely possible, and I see improvements much quicker than that if there's less DNA fragmentation on the front end, of course. All right. Additionally, we want to think about hormones and metabolic health as well. When testosterone is low, I don't want the conversation to immediately become, how do we increase testosterone? I want to know why testosterone is low, because testosterone production does not happen in isolation. Male reproductive hormones communicate through the hypothalamic pituitary gonadal axis. Depending on the situation, a more complete hormonal evaluation is helpful and can include total testosterone, free testosterone, FSH, LH, estradiol, SHBG, which is sex hormone binding globulin, and prolactin. Also, thyroid markers can be really helpful as well. And we want to think also what's happening with fasting glucose and insulin, body composition, sleep quality. Is there snoring? Potentially sleep apnea involved, because it's going to impact the quality of the sleep. Again, how is thyroid functioning? What's going on with alcohol intake, medications, stress load, chronically being under recovered, so potentially over exercising, not getting that sleep and recovery time. But low testosterone can be a clue that something bigger is happening physiologically. So I want to address those underlying factors rather than simply chasing the testosterone number. And something that's extremely important is that if you are trying to conceive, do not start testosterone replacement therapy, because it can actually act like birth control for men. All right. So if your testosterone is low, ask why. Consider evaluating the broader hormonal and metabolic picture before jumping into anything else that might boost, quote unquote, boost testosterone. All right. Additionally, number 4, micronutrient status. Sperm production is incredibly nutrient intensive. You are producing millions of sperm every day, and those cells are particularly vulnerable to oxidative stress. 2 nutrients I pay extra close attention to are zinc and vitamin D. Zinc plays an important role in male reproductive health and the whole production system, including sperm development and function. And because nutrients work together, if you're supplementing zinc aggressively for long periods of time, you can be disrupting copper balance as well. So never blindly supplement something like zinc, even though it can be super helpful. We don't want to throw off copper or iron balance, because they are also super important for overall sperm health and function, as well as just metabolic health as well. We want to understand you as a person and an individual, and not just blindly supplement, especially high dose supplement with things like zinc. Vitamin D is another nutrient worth assessing. Research on supplementation is a little bit mixed, but we do see that vitamin D is associated with improvements in sperm motility and morphology, and it definitely does not mean that more vitamin D is better. We want to make sure we're assessing your levels and getting them into optimal ranges. It really just means that deficiency deserves extra attention. So what you should do is, before building a giant male fertility supplement stack, is look at your own individual levels, look at your diet, and consider targeted testing based on your history and symptoms to better be able to correct deficiencies instead of blindly taking handfuls of supplements. All right, we also want to make sure that we're thinking about dietary fats. So omega-3s, fatty fish. Eating fish is really supportive. Omega-3 fats are not just important for female fertility, they are very foundational for sperm health too. And DHA is highly concentrated in sperm cell membranes and is involved in sperm structure and function. So we definitely want to make sure that we're getting enough of those. There's also really interesting research around just actual fish consumption. In one study of men attending a fertility clinic, we saw higher fish intake was associated with higher sperm counts and greater percentage of morphology, which is the shape of the sperm. So improved shape of the sperm and sperm health too. One of my favorite recommendations is incredibly simple. It's to aim for 2 to 3 servings of fish a week. And if you can get fatty fish, that can be extra supportive for those omega-3s and their benefits too. So think salmon, sardines, anchovies, trout. And then include also other white fish that are less fatty, like cod or halibut, because they're also a very good source of protein and sperm support too. All right, so we also want to think about just increasing our overall antioxidants and decreasing oxidative stress in our life. So this is really the tip that brings everything together. We spend so much time looking at the sperm. After they've been produced, I want to look at the environment where they are actually being produced. So sperm cells are particularly susceptible to oxidative damage. That means that we need to look at the balance between oxidative stress and antioxidant defense. So this includes food. Carotenoid-rich foods are an easy place to start. Think tomatoes, watermelon, red peppers, carrots, sweet potatoes, citrus, really red and orange produce, but also dark leafy greens. Lycopene is a carotenoid found in these foods, especially the red and orange type foods, and has been studied for male fertility because of its antioxidant properties. So we do see overall improved sperm health, including morphology, with increased lycopene. Okay. And I would tell you to build an antioxidant-rich diet because sperm really needs protection from oxidative stress, and food is only part of that environment, though. Okay. So I also want you to know that you need to ditch smoking and vaping, no marijuana, no drinking heavily. Ditch the hot tub and sauna because that's creating damage. Don't put a laptop directly on your lap or phone in your front pocket. You want to minimize heat, improve blood flow in order to keep sperm healthy. Also, overexposure to pesticides, solvents, and other chemicals is going to be damaging. Getting less than 6 hours of sleep at night. Ideally, you're getting 7+ hours of sleep every night. You want to ditch the processed foods and focus on whole foods because that definitely improves overall environment health for sperm. Also, managing insulin response or blood sugar control, making sure varicocele has been ruled out are all really important too. Sometimes the answer is not another supplement. Often it's not. Sometimes there's underlying medical or anatomical issues that deserve evaluation. And this is really one of the biggest messages I want you to take away from today's episode. Sperm quality is not just a fertility issue. It can be a window into overall male health. So if you're listening to this and thinking, we haven't done any of this, please don't panic. I want you to see the opportunity here. Male fertility is something that we should investigate after we have exhausted everything on the female side, okay? Male fertility is not something that we should wait to investigate, okay? I want that to be clear. We should be investigating both partners from the very beginning. And if I were building a more comprehensive male fertility assessment, these are the areas I would want you to think about. A detailed semen analysis, including sperm DNA fragmentation, a thoughtful hormone evaluation, a look at metabolic health, including blood sugar, insulin when appropriate, nutrient status, and dietary adequacy, and assessing lifestyle and environmental and physical factors influencing sperm production. Then we use that information to build the plan, because the goal is not simply to get better numbers on the next semen analysis, is to create a healthier sperm overall with better potential to fertilize an egg, contribute healthy DNA to an embryo, and support a healthy pregnancy. But remember, sperm development takes time. So if the sperm being ejaculated today started developing weeks ago, really months ago, a full spermatogenesis cycle is at least 75 days. So that means that the changes you make now matter for the sperm that you will be working with over the next few months. So start with the fundamentals. Eat enough protein and nutrient-dense whole foods. Get colorful plants on your plate every day. Eat 2 to 3 servings of fish every week. Make sure omega-3 intake is adequate. Correct any nutrient deficiencies rather than blindly supplementing, and making sure that you're prioritizing sleep. Okay. If something is abnormal, keep asking why, because male factor is not the end of the investigation. It is the beginning of understanding what may be interfering with healthy sperm production. And if you're a woman listening to this because you have been carrying the entire fertility journey on your shoulders, send this episode to your partner. You are a team. Fertility is a couple's health issue, and sperm deserves the same thoughtful evaluation we have been giving your eggs for decades. Hope to see you next week.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Fertility Dietitian podcast. If you enjoyed it, please leave a review to let me know what topics you want more of or less of. If you want to keep learning, subscribe at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Check out my website for more info on my private coaching program, Master Your Fertility, or my membership community, Fertility Blueprint. And don't forget my digital store. Come say hi on YouTube and Instagram. See you in the next episode.